So yes, I'd open up to the floor that if people have questions.
It was more of a comment, just to say thank you for organizing this meeting. It's so important, and all the brothers who spoke have really, really brought the truth out. And I just wanted to mention Mumia Abu Jamal, who I know many of you know, who's fighting, inside the prison system, and he's just written a book about jailhouse lawyers, because there's, as we've heard today, there's a massive struggle going on inside. And I guess I do have two quick questions, which are, I think the most important thing that's been reinforced tonight is working together across communities and different sectors of us, including, here in the UK there are women detained in prison with no charges. They're detained and then deported. Many are rape survivors. And I think that would be really important to include in our campaign. And I think the second thing I would like to ask about is how can we continue the campaign to support the brothers who were extradited? And the last point, I'm from the US, and we know many of our families are in prison or have been in prison, and the system that they made for the US, it's been exported to other parts of the world. That's why they made Guantanamo, because they're doing it to people of color and to white people in the US. So it's really just to thank you, to really welcome this meeting, and to hear how you think we can work together to get justice for the people extradited, but also the people who are, being tortured in solitary confinement and prisons. And I think we also have to remember the prison strikes that happened in the US, where what happened was that people got together, black people, Latino, even the white racists joined in the strikes. So there are many, we have to pull up those examples where we have got together and, to give ourselves some power, because that's the only way we can do it.
Life in prison is death right on in America. So the idea is to get, to keep somehow his case alive and to litigate, try to get him out of prison, period. How it, the thing that we can do to continue focusing on, prison around the world, prison constructed by America around the world, is that we have to keep America in the spotlight. We have to keep it, make sure that, that we are looking at it and expose this exactly what is going on. The fact that what you are doing, what people are doing here, what people are doing around the world, are focused on prison and focus on what is taking place, the human rights violation that's taking place or has taken place in Guantanamo and anywhere else. We just have to continue our efforts to make sure that, and I think we have to connect with people of like-minded, and there are people in the United States who feel as strongly about human rights violation as people here in England, and I think we have to just make the connections, and I think those connections have been made, and I think we just have to be consistent in our approach to dealing with this, and make sure that it's not swept under the rug. Maybe someone else on the panel may have some other thought about some of the other questions you asked. I don't remember and can't remember all of the related questions, but hopefully I'll say something that.
One of the remarkable things about Bella is he always actually managed to care about other causes, even when people had the threat of, death in solitary confinement hanging over him. So Bella always told me to be shoulder to shoulder with all the black deaths in police custody, be shoulder to shoulder with other people. Even when it was the Angola 40th anniversary, he made sure, I tweeted it and made everyone remember it as Angola Freeze, because even when the Hillsborough verdict came out, it is essentially the same axis of power against us, that same collusion between, you know, the media, unscrupulous politicians and other things. And just through, and the thing you just said about exporting the American prison system, that is true. After this European court judgment, you know, the European Court of Human Rights is run by the Council of Europe. The Daily Mail, which doesn't like the Human Rights Court, thinks it's run by the European Union, and no matter how many times people correct them, they seem to not know this. So Central Asia, Russia, and Turkey is subject to it. So on a vigil the day after my brother's extradition, I was approached by a human rights worker working in Turkey, and she says, yeah, look, the people who, because prison abuse is rife in Turkey, and they'll say, well, you know, Turkey will now look to that European court judgment which just gave legitimation to extreme isolation in America and say, yeah, look, if America can do it, so can we. And it's disturbing now, so Supermax, if they're not condemned, sorry. And even looking at the history of solitary confinement, you're sort of looking at a whole manner of other oppressed and persecuted groups. Because, I mean, it is a Muslim who are the sort of headline suspect community, but they've done this before to the Irish, they've done this to Japanese Americans during World War II, who were just interned just because of their Asian ancestry, and looking at the history of the Black Panther movement. Val actually said during the last weeks how awesome the Black Panthers were, and he said he actually wanted to wear like a Black Panther beret in prison too.
Definitely, just continue as the previous speakers have said, continue to campaign against what's happening in Guantanamo and other American prisons and many other secret prisons, to uncover the illegalities, the atrocities that take place inside prison. It's very important to come together, build bridges between lots of communities that have been affected by these injustices. Like Talha said, that there were some Japanese under concentration camps in World War. And I remember when the British delegates of British MI5 and MI6 came to Bagram base, and we were thrown downstairs inside the big, large concentration camp. And I said to them, look down, doesn't this look similar to what happened to the Japanese in the World War? We're here because we come back from our origins from the Middle East. We picked up, many of us were aid workers, some of the teachers and so on. But many other aid workers who were from European countries are not brought to Bagram, even though they worked inside Kabul at the time. And why is this? Don't you think this is similar to what happened to the Japanese when they were arrested and suspicion, and they put on the concentration camps in the United States? And then my five guys said, no, it's not like that, it's just different. So I think campaigning and uncovering those people is very important, and public opinion does make a difference, as we've seen in many cases of those people imprisoned in Guantanamo, for example. Politicians care about votes, and they even if they're not moved and motivated sometimes by what is moral or not, but if many people as votes care about something, they probably are embarrassed to do the right thing sometimes. So I think we can all contribute in many ways. Teachers can talk to their students about these things, workers and campaigners, politicians, writers in newspapers and other campaigners. All of us have a lot to do, and coming together we are so powerful that we can change things. I'm sure about that.
On another point, just specifically related to Talha and Barbara, there is a family fund related to supporting their fight, but I think the most important thing is it's so sad that whenever you open up these kind of, it just opens up more and more doors, and you just realize how deep and how long this problem has been going on. I had no idea about this when I started work in CagePrisoners in 2003. This work will never stop. It really is just such an endemic problem that I just don't know what to say. I'm a doctor by profession, and it's just, all we're doing at the moment is just treating the symptoms. We have to treat the disease. The whole system is rotten, and that realization has to be taken on board, that it's not going to end when Guantanamo is closed. It's not going to end when the Angola 2 are out. There are these problems throughout the world, and that struggle is ours. I'll go to the next question.
Thank you for your very touching presentation. I just wanted to ask, considering all the panelists' personal experience with British and American justice, what message do you have to the British and to the American government, as well as any members of the police force who might be with us tonight?
My message out is just to continue to do what is right and campaign and make our voice heard, loudly.
Just very quickly, I want to say I was reading the Metro on the way here, and there are 3 letters in support of Tala Hassan in the Metro today. So support comes from all sorts of weird places when you least expect it. But the media blackout is something you touched on, is so important. And I think we need to step up what we're doing in solidarity with Tala and those extradited to say we won't have it that papers and media and television and radio and so all the interviews you're doing, even if they're more now in the last 48 hours, in a way is fantastic. So we need to be outside newspaper offices and doing pickets, doing demonstration and raising the fact. But I have to say, I'm so positive and you're so brave to speak out, because we will win. We are in the majority. And if, as Lee Jasper said, it's going to take 350 years to achieve equality, we're never going to achieve equality under this system. The speaker is right. This is an unjust system. Imperialism, we have to fight it. We have to fight racism. And we have to look to positive examples. So Guantanamo is in Cuba, but Cuba is leading a fight for socialism, leading a fight for an alternative. It doesn't want Guantanamo prison camp there. It has never said that that is what it wants, and it has always totally opposed the US illegally occupying its land. And the media blackout about Chavez and Venezuela and the alternatives that are being built. So we must remain positive and build a bigger, united movement and take on the media and use our strength together to say that we will win and Tala Hassan will come home.
Thank you.
I just wanted to know, when you were sentenced, did the judge say that you were meant to serve your sentence in solitary confinement?
No. John Conyers, he's a congressperson. He was head of the Judiciary Commission until recently. He's still a congressperson, and he pointed that out. He acknowledged that when the judge sentenced me, Herman Albert, and I, they did not send us to solitary confinement. They did send us to prison. And what happened is that within this system, you have an administration that has a tendency to punish and use solitary confinement as a means of punishing people who they think are undesired threat to security. And so this is what they did. And they leave it up to you to challenge whatever position that they take. And by the way, we do have a suit challenging the system in America. Our suit is under Wilkerson voice and all voices. It's a class action suit, Herman Albert and I. And the court has ruled that my 29 years constituted cruel and unusual punishment. We're at the second stage in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeal. We're one step away from the highest court in the land, which is the United States Supreme Court. That case there will set a precedent. If they rule in our case, if the Supreme Court continue to rule in the Fifth Circuit continue to rule in our case, or the United States Supreme Court, it will set a precedent. It will become a landmark decision, and anybody who is in prison in America will be impacted by it, meaning that they would have to set a determinate period, a definite period of time in which they could keep people housed in those type of conditions. So the suit is still pending, just for your information.
Yeah, responding to this earlier question, actually, my message to the UK government, which is, 150,000 people signed a petition for Barber without the backing of any, major newspaper. This is real grassroots democracy in action. So you just alienated every single one of them, and far more of them, than voted for Theresa May in her constituency. In terms of the American government, it's just about respecting other nations' territorial sovereignty. Now, if you think a US server, which is the only dubious link that they claim jurisdiction to British citizens, you know, if we go home, our Gmails and our Twitters and our Facebooks are on US servers. So most .com, .net things and most emails in the world go through a US server. So effectively, you know, United States would have, you know, extraterritorial jurisdiction of the world. So you know, just respect. You know, it's the same problem. You know, when a drone strike is in Pakistan or Yemen, you know, it's just about, you know, there are things called national, you know, borders and governments which are supposed to represent their people. In addition to that, the United States has a constitution, and yet it seems to, you know, break it when it wishes. There were many pieces of international legislation which contradicted the European Court judgment, such as the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Torture, we keep mentioning. But some of them actually were within the United States itself. So the New York Bar Association issued a report, and anyone can download it, saying, you know, this type of solitary confinement actually breaks the US Constitution itself. The way they treated Bradley Manning, you know, breaks the US Constitution itself. There was a Latin American citizen called Jose Padilla, and they kept him in isolation with no access to his lawyers till he went completely mad, and made up in the media that he had a bomb plot. But in the entire history of US legislation, they, you know, from paedophiles to gang warlords, they all had their constitutional rights. But for this one citizen, they entirely stripped his constitutional rights. And let's put this in perspective. There are Christian terrorists who murder abortion clinic people. They are not put in isolation. They are not denied access to their family. You know, so why? You know, it's a very clear case of unequal treatment for other groups. So.
We're drawing to an end, actually. We had thought about doing a video for a campaign that CagePrisoners is doing called No More Secrets. One of the things I'd return back to, we've had some really amazing talks and some really inspiring piece of action and things that have been said here. At the beginning I mentioned to people that the Home Office Prevent team had said that they didn't want this event to go ahead. What I think this proves for those of them who are here and whoever else might be here, this is an ideal example of community cohesion on justice, on equality, on going against racism. Community cohesion just means that I'm all right, Jack, and I've also got a middle-class lifestyle and my kids go to private school. Sorry, mate, that's not our community. That really is not. We should be proud that this is really the kind of community and thing we're looking at doing, and I hope that you can take that message away. This isn't a one-off. Robert's struggle, our struggle, and all of the other struggles are all the same, and we need to make sure that we are connected to that. I will want to end on that note. There are stalls, please do visit them. We have also some of the CagePrisoners reports and everything. Please do check out our website, and you know, like I said, we don't bite. Many times the people have said that no, these people are jihadis. We haven't burnt one American flag. I can't believe it. That really, really disappoints me. But that's what I'm saying to you, is that don't believe the hype. That's very important. I think that as a doctor, I see that all the time. One of the things that this work has really, really taught me a lot in terms of my practice is treat people as you treat them yourself, as you'd want to be treated, and don't take any preconceptions. It's worked for me really well for my patients, that we're very easy to cast judgment on people. And I only want to see people and know them when I actually have an interaction with them. That's the time. And people are treated unjustly. Sadly, lots of societies rely on folk devils and using the power of nightmares, as Adam Curtis talked about, to unite people. That's not the unity that we want. We want one which is built on hopes and dreams, and I hope we can achieve that. Thank you very much.
men would survive the hell of the world's most notorious prisons and are able to tell their stories today. But for others, the path to freedom arrived too late. They were prepared to have people detained in other countries saying you would torture them. They were sending information, exchanging information, and they were in cahoots with intelligence services. They knew perpetrated torture.
كان هناك أسلوب عبارة عن خشبة.
They shut us in a way which makes you go around 360 degrees. And when you are going down under the water, you think you are going to drown.
As these top secret documents now reveal, it seemed there was no hiding place in the world beyond the reach of MI6.
My wife and I were abducted, tortured and humiliated in Kuala Lumpur and taken in Bangkok. We were handed over to Libyan intelligence, and I suffered most at their hands. All of these experiences, the difficulties and the harassment, have motivated us to stand firmly by justice and the rule of law.
The publicly stated position of MI6 is that a minister would have to have signed up on this.
This goes right to the top. It cannot be the action of a handful of officers. This was a thought out, systematic government policy which they hoped would never be uncovered.